Hi, my name is Aizzah Fatima, and I am one of the writers, producers, and actors of Americanish.
Hi, I'm Iman Zawahry. I am one of the director, writers, and producers of Americanish. Americanish is the first American Muslim rom-com made by diverse American Muslim women about an American Muslim woman. And it is about three Pakistani American Muslim women living, figuring out love, life, and career in New York City.
There's a lot to unpack about this movie. Where did the first kind of spark from it come? What was it? One character? Was it all three together? I would love to know, like, where's that first little entry with, like, we've got something?
Yeah, so it's like a different kind of a journey than maybe most films that you would hear about here this year, perhaps, I'm assuming, because this started off as a one-woman show. I started developing a one-woman show about 11 years ago. I've been performing it for 10 years, and it's been all over the world. It's called Dirty Packy Lingerie. It's a comedy about the Muslim American female identity. I play characters that range from a 6-year-old girl to a 65-year-old woman. And Iman and I met because I was performing in New York City at the Cherry Lane Theater. I'd just come back from the Edinburgh Fringe, from a long run there. That was my first time in Edinburgh, and this was about 8 years ago. And she happened to be in town for celebrating her birthday, and they were walking by the Cherry Lane Theater, and they were like, let's go see this show, because the poster was out. And we just started, she approached me actually after the show, just to be like, you enjoyed it, and we just, and so we just started talking about things we loved and what we had in common, and it was so much. And then she was like, do you want to turn this into a film? And I was like, yes, let's do it, because I'd been thinking about how to reach a wider audience. At that point, about 8 years ago, I was doing primarily just theater, and I was thinking about like transitioning more into TV and film at the time. But yeah, so then she did, and I had never written a feature film, and this was, of course, both of our feature films. And so we took 4 of the characters from the play, the mom and the 3 younger women, and we turned it into a feature film.
About creating those 3 women, they're obviously share a lot of sensibilities and qualities, but they're completely different on so many levels. Can you talk a bit about creating different viewpoints and different POVs just in these 3 solid characters?
Yeah, it's so important. Look, for me, it's always been the case, like, as growing up in the Muslim household with like 2 sisters who are very different from me. We're all very different, and my mom, who's very different from all of us also, I've always seen the diversity, that we're not a monolith, but yet what we see in TV and portrayed in the media around Muslim women is always like this, some kind of a victim narrative, right? And I frankly don't know anyone like that. I'm like, well, where are the women I know who are funny, flawed, human? Like, why don't I see those characters? So that was really important for me, for sure, to like show Muslim women in all of their diversity, that we have different thoughts and ways of being, and the way we relate to our religion and culture. It's very different, just like all the rest of America,
Yeah, and that's actually a really good point that you're bringing up, is that showing the religious aspect of it, because everybody assumes that a Muslim woman looks like me, and that they pray 5 times a day, they fast, they don't talk to people, all that stuff, which of course is not
which
true.
Some of us do pray 5 times a day and fast too, and not look like that, so it's very diverse.
Right here. Well, this is right here. Well, this is
it.
You don't know what we do behind doors, but like, yes, the look. But yeah, so, and now it's actually a big conversation within the Muslim community when we're screening this film, is like, they're even having a hard time seeing that we should be showing one way that they think it should be, the way that the book would be like, this is how a Muslim woman is, she's a practicing Muslim woman, this and that. But that's not the life that we live, and that's not the life that we live in. And that's
in our lifetime, right? There's so many women and men we know who are Muslim who are now saying that they're just culturally Muslim.
Right.
This is a thing that's happened within our generation. Our parents might not relate to that, but for us, it's like people who just relate to the culture. They don't really relate to the religion, and that's the reality. So then for us, it's like, well, why don't we ever show that? Why don't we ever see that? Just like there's people, so many of my friends are culturally Jewish. They don't believe in the religion or support or sponsor, but they grew up that way, celebrating the holidays, and that's what religion means to them. So they'll get together with their family for the holidays, and I know Muslims who are like that.
Yeah, and it's interesting that we're having this conversation. We haven't talked about this before, but it's like, what does religion mean to you as a Muslim woman? And you can see that in these 4 different characters, and I think it's really important to tell. And I know we tried to tackle so much in this film in terms of like teaching and layers and all of this stuff, and I'm really hoping it came across it just to show that Muslim women are not all the same and they're different just like everyone else.
Let's jump to the title, because I think there's so much more in that ish than there is in that American. Why this title, and why does it fit kind of perfectly?
Okay, so great question. So it's an homage to Blackish, obviously, and you think that ish means kind of. But if you look up what Blackish means, it means an array of black people. So Americanish means an array of Americans, and that's why we chose the title and we picked it. And it's really great because it's also like we say ish all the time in the film as well. And so even though people are like, I'm tired of the ish, I'm like, nope, one more, we're coming in. But yes, I really think that it was strong in that sense.
I know we've concentrated on these women and the mom. This cast is really unique, really diverse, not just certain acting backgrounds, but like Godfrey comes out of left field, and I'm like, how the hell did Godfrey get into film? He's amazing in it.
He's so amazing. Yes.
Can I just say, I've never seen Godfrey in this kind of a role ever in his life, and he nails it, and he's amazing in it. So more roles like this for Godfrey, everyone out there.
Yes, please. Yes.
Can you talk about the cast, though? I mean,
Yeah,
it
for
is
sure.
a really good cast.
Yeah, we're really proud of our cast. I mean, our casting directors, Mia Cusimano and Megan Rafferty, New York casting directors, they were super helpful in what we were doing. And, you know, in terms of creating a cast, you know, Aizzah creating roles for Muslim women and herself, because she's always been getting the roles of like terrorist girlfriend number 2 and things like that. So it was really important to create a role for herself. And so she's our awesome lead cast. And then Selena, she actually came into the audition as wanting to be the small role of Shahid's girlfriend. And then we saw her and I was like, oh my gosh, she's totally Miriam. And she was like really kind of klutzy and clumsy, and she's just so amazing. Like Selena just really killed it. And then Shanaz and Lilette, which is Amira and Khala, they are actually Bollywood actors and Bollywood like legends. And we did not think that we would get them. And they were all about it. And I really appreciate Lilette because she makes it a point to work with first-time director females. And she, like when she came on our set, she was such a queen. She was just like, introduced herself to everyone, made sure that everything was going through so like proper and kind. So that was with the females. And of course, with the males, we were really trying to get our diverse cast. So Godfrey, it was really exciting because they always say he doesn't audition much, but he read our script and he loved it, especially in terms of the race issues that we addressed in the film. And we all know Godfrey, if anybody knows Godfrey on Instagram, and he's like this hilarious kind of like off the wall type of guy, but like that dude is such a good actor. He hones it in, so supportive, so great, and he really brought it together. And of course, David Rashi and George Wendt, really amazing cast.
Ajay Naidu, who I have loved, and he's a New York actor, but I had never worked with him, and I have loved him from afar for so many years, you know, from like Office Space days, you know, and he also does Shakespeare. I've seen him in things in New York. Amazing. And then of course Mo Amer, who is a friend, but he was so kind of him to come in and be in our film in a very busy time in his schedule. He was flying between LA and everything, and you know, now he's filming something with The Rock, and
but we were his first feature.
Yes, there you go. He might be with The Rock now, but we were the first feature.
It's like first feature American, second feature The Rock, Black Adam. Yes. Yeah.
What does it mean to be here at Bentonville, knowing it highlights women filmmakers? But more than that, the diversity element of it is open to everyone. And I think the programming in particular is just amazing. It really highlights so many different stories and voices. How much importance is it to be at a festival like this?
Incredibly important. We have been talking about this nonstop. What it is about Bentonville, it's like it not only champions women and diverse stories, but it does not tokenize. We are so impressed. We never see this in festivals. There's like 5 other filmmakers that have films here that are Muslim. Yeah. And we're like, what? We're like, we can't believe it, because there's usually like one slot for the Muslim film, you know? And so it's been so great. And then just watching, what I actually really love, and I don't know if this is the theme of this year, but a lot of the films I've been watching are about immigrant stories and like identity and what it means to be an American, and that's what our film's about. And it's really important for all of us to look at this because it creates this unity and understanding between all of us. So I'm just really, really happy, and I feel so, every day I wake up, I'm like, I'm so happy and uplifted and motivated by this festival.
Yeah, and it's not just it comes from the programmers and the, volunteer staff and everyone else who works here, but also the filmmakers we've met here are like the most supportive community of people. People were like recording our Q&A. We didn't even ask them to, for 20 minutes, holding with little cameras with their hands and recorded it for us, because just other filmmakers, and just everything. Just people have been so supportive and amazing, and I love the filmmaker community here.
Yeah, for sure.
Obviously, in a rom-com, it's important to be funny.
Yes.
I was amazed at the little subtle jokes that were put in there that weren't necessarily the jokes you may expect. There were little subtle ones that
Give me an example of which one you liked.
Oh, there's too many. But like Godfrey's character had some moments that I was like, I did not expect that.
Yes. He was, and yes, that was really great. Godfrey and he's so sweet in terms of like, he's like, what do you need, man? Let's do it. Let's try it. And he's like, he'd give me options what to try. And there's a lot of the things, especially on the one when he's like, that I didn't come up with and we didn't come up with the story is, but you're black, and he goes, I am. That was all Godfrey. Like all of these.
Definitely added something to the character. I mean, look, all of our actors did in their own ways. Yeah, and I think we were so lucky. Again, you're talking about the cast. Even in the actors in all the smaller parts, they're all like New York actors, friends of mine, actually, a lot of them, and they just killed it.
Yeah, and what I like to do as a director is be able to give the actors space to create that if they would like to, and so giving that space to Godfrey, he felt comfortable to do it, and so in every situation that we had to discuss it, same thing with Kapil and Selena and all of them as well, is like giving that space. Oh, and when Khala came in, we had a whole different character for a little while. Like it was a different type of mom, and then Lillette brought this regalness, and she brought, because we were doing a different type of character where she's kind of like a little bit rough around the edges, and then Lillette completely changed it around and made it what it is.
Yeah. And then there's the whole scene which always, I love this scene. It's the scene that we shot in the subway, which was shot at like ridiculous hour, like 4 a.m. or something. And like, I don't even know if we had a permit. Can we even say that? But we're filming in New York City in the subway. And it's a scene with me and Moamir. And what I love is what he did, where he was doing the whole dance thing. That is not written anywhere in the script. So it's so charming, and that is so him. And that's something he brought, I feel like, to that character that no one else would have. So again, like all the actors we had, I feel like just brought all these little things to their characters that, other actors, it would have been a different film.
We're getting to show it to audiences, and you guys got to experience this, that aren't a New York audience, aren't necessarily attuned to everything, but yet I think are very much attuned to these stories and these characters. How cool and interesting has it been to see this story still connect in the middle of Arkansas?
So amazing. I mean, our audience yesterday was majority white and non-Desi, non-Pakistani, and it was amazing because every single one of them were related and like gasped and laughed. And I had an older gentleman, must have been in his 70s, 80s, he was like, you know what? I totally related to that movie. I have 7 kids, I have 7 brothers and sisters, and I know how it's like, and this is this. And he's like, it was the best thing, having the feedback from all of these audience members, and the women coming up to us afterwards talking about different aspects of the film that related to them. It's incredibly amazing. And also when we were in Cincinnati, the one I really loved was this Thai American male. He was like, I finally saw myself in this film, and I can show it to my white in-laws and tell them, hey, this is what it's like to be me. It was just such I get chills. It's such a heartwarming experience.
Is there any, I know it's a completed film, but is there any hope to continue some of these stories, or even off bridges of it? I feel like you could almost tell the mother's story of her life before this.
That's so funny. Yeah, so we have a producer, Roy Wool, who's all over this. He's like, guys, this is a TV show. Let's turn it into a TV show. And it's so funny. And him and I were talking and like throwing out ideas. And he was like, what about the mom story? So he had the same.
I could see a whole movie just of her. Forget a TV show. Just her movie.
That's so true. Yeah, we should make a Khala spinoff.
We should. Maybe we will.
Yeah. It's not a bad idea.
Too.
Yes. Actually, one of my friend's daughters, who was like 15, after she watched the film here virtually in Arkansas, she turned it off and she goes, is there going to be an Americanish too? I was like, oh, that's so sweet. Being
I think
attacked
you guys
by
are
the
getting into
fly.
fly. It's like
Yes.
that one lovable fly.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for making this film. Thank you guys for writing characters that weren't just jumping on a stereotype or a joke, but giving them a complete life.
Oh, thank
like
you.
there's bridges to their stories. And thanks for hiring Godfrey, because he knows so much gold would be in Godfrey. I'm still amazed by his
Yes, he's
Thanks
gonna love
to
it.
Godfrey for being in the film, really.
Yes,
It wouldn't
and
have been the
supporting,
same
and he's so
without-
amazing,
He's
yes.
so supporting. He's like every 2 weeks texting Iman the whole time. We were in the edit for 3 years.
Yeah.
And Godfrey's like checking up in on both of
Oh,
us.
it's so sweet.
He's like,
yeah,
keep
did you
going.
watch the virtual Q&A? Because the virtual
No.
Q&A, he was a part of it.
He's a
yeah.
part of it.
Yeah.
You can still watch it.
Yeah, watch
I'll have
it.
to
Yeah.
check it out.
It was like an hour long. We were like, and Lalette, the challah is in there too. And so, yeah, it was really great. Yeah.
Well, ladies, thank you, and we appreciate also your barbecue references for us.
Of course,
later.
yes.
Nice
Let us know what you
barbecue.
think.
We definitely
Okay.
will.